Let's speak now to a South African who met John Lewis. Dr. David Molapo is a management consultant, motivational speaker, also the head of ICANN for IR. Doctor, thank you for being with us. So I understand you were in the United States before 1994 interacting with these sorts of leaders. Just tell us when and where you met John Lewis.
Thanks so much, Francis, for this opportunity. Again, our prayers and condolences for the Mandela family at this time. I was privileged to meet Dr. John Lewis because when I left this country, I studied in a place called Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama. It's about 3 hours from where Dr. John Lewis was born, in a place called Troy. So he used to come through our religious programs to come and give of his time, teaching us on leadership, teaching us on how to discover, to develop, to deploy our God-given abilities. Particularly, the university I was attending was historically a black college and university, what they call the HBCU. So the first time I met him was in 1983. And then the second time later was in 1987 in Washington, D.C., when we were busy now with this diverse South Africa people, imposing sanctions on South Africa. And what really struck me with him, he always had time, as the former ambassador said, for South Africans. He believed in us, maybe because at the age of 23, he was the youngest member in 1963 to give a speech. An elderly gentleman, but his mind was young, sharp, always believed in us, always encouraged us. Hopefully, I'll also talk about some of the leadership lessons on service and excellence that he taught us.
Well, tell us about those lessons that you learned from him.
Yes, the powerful statement he said was, servant leaders lead with others in mind. That was the start, that servant leaders, you always lead other people, you lead with others in mind. What I liked about him, he valued these diverse opinions. He always was fighting for freedom, equality, basic human rights, but he always varied diverse opinions. We will have black, white, Indian, colored, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, whatever in one place. The second thing that I liked about him was he cultivated a culture of trust. A simple guy, but when he speaks, you can hear that he's not trying to impress you, but he's the kind of guy that wants to impact you. But we will never forget him about this lesson. He always said, never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble. And he will smile. And he says, necessary trouble. And then finally, what I like about him was his humility. He always acted with humility. The statement that I always say when I close my talks came from him. This is what he said. What we do for ourselves is gone when we are gone, but what we do for the next generation will remain as a legacy. That statement came from Dr. John Lewis. Yeah. I was privileged to have known him, worked with him, and being mentored and coached by him, not only just by words, but he led, with and by example.
Yeah, he's been called the conscience of Congress, and there's been bipartisan tributes, which, given where America is right now, is quite incredible. Good trouble, what does it mean, do you think, for South Africa now?
Well, for South Africa is like right now, by the way, even before he died, do you know that he was, how fitting is it for a guy before he died for him to summon the strength to visit the peaceful protest during this, Black Lives Matter. But for us, the relevance for us is let's stand up. Again, one thing he taught me was do what is right and not what is easy. Sometimes it is easy just to succumb to pressure and do nothing. In Afrikaans, they say you cannot drag serviers. You can just sit on the fence. But what I liked about him was cause trouble, speak up, particularly with the issues. You don't have to be angry because remember he was also an apostle of love. Even though he went through beatings, he was arrested, even the guy from the KKK who beat him up asked for forgiveness, he forgave that guy. So for us, I think, number one, in the context of today's challenges in South Africa, the gender-based violence, again, today, 2 women raped and killed. Where are the brothers? Amajita, where are the guys? We need to stand up, be counted, but not only talk. Actions speak louder than words. That's one thing I liked about him. The speeches of hope were great, but everything must be followed with action. Isn't that interesting? That's exactly what Madiba said to us. Hope is great, but hope must always be accompanied with action.
All right, thank you. Remembering John Lewis, South African Dr. David Molapo.